Okay, welcome to round 3 of our run. We are on the play, we have a good hand, we have interaction in form of only brainstorm, so no lightning bolt, no force of will. But we have a turn 1 Delver of Secrets. I'm going to fetch here the basic island so that we can make sure that our cutter on turn 2 will resolve and does not get interfered with Wasteland. And we also have the Bauble. Our opponent is starting here just with a Scalding Tarn. We miss on our flip on the Delver. I think it's okay. So we can deploy our cutter and with a Bauble. Hopefully it will resolve. So our opponent could be on a Sneak and Show or even a mirror match. So we are not 100% sure what he is playing with, but we get a look with the bubble trigger and we see a Mockingbird. So it could be a mirror match. There are some Delver variants which play Mockingbird, but we will see what is our opponent playing here. And he is playing a Brainstorm on his end step, so it could be any kind of blue tempo deck. And we will see what our opponent is doing on his next turn. We draw a card, so we are a little bit land heavy here, but we have a Brainstorm to fix that. So our opponent is showing us a Voice of Victory and a basic plane, so it's a kind of UV fish or Weenie deck. So maybe some energy variant here. So we have no interaction for the Voice of Victory, but keep in mind we have enough pressure on this time of the game on the board so that we really don't care about interacting on our opponent's turn. We just make sure that we have enough damage on board with the cutter active. So we are just going to waste the Voice of Victory here. We are generating a token with the ponder and looking just into chaining more spells. So here we found Wasteland, which is really useless at this point of the game. So I'm going here with the Delver because I know there's a ponder on top, so that our Delver will flip on our next turn. But first things first, we're just going to apply some damage here, play the Delver, and hopefully our opponent will not outplay us on his turn, and on our turn we will flip both Delvers and chain Ponder into Preordain, so get more prowess trigger and also additional token. So our opponent is leading with a Ossel Pride, it's fine, and a Mockingbird, which will copy a second Pride, and a Wasteland. Wasteland doesn't, we really don't care about it, and also the cats don't fly, so our Delver will flip. So we have at least 6 damage in the air. We are playing Ponder, getting some prowess triggers here, and maybe we can looking for some board. I think Bauble is decent. It's another prowess trigger. It's absolutely fine. And also then we have a Daze as a backup spell on next turn if anything goes wrong, but our opponent is tapped out here, so he can maybe have a Daze of his own, or maybe even a Force of Will, but it will not matter at this point of the game. So we can shuffle here away the days, getting a better look. With the tunneling thoughts, we find more spells so that we can chain that into. So leading with the bauble, getting the token trigger and the browse triggers, and our opponent is committed on full blocks here, so we are just making sure that we cast enough spells that he maybe have to trade his whole board, or that our trample token is big enough. So we are drawing here into the brainstorm, and there's even a lightning board, so that's lights out at this point. So even if the board will miss any circumstances, we have a redraw in form of brainstorm available, so that there's no need for playing the lightning board before blocks. We see how our opponent is deciding to block here, and then we can apply the lightning bolt maybe on a blocker or even in the face. So it will not matter. So our opponent is deciding here to not block the trample, so keep his one cat alive, so we have enough damage and just play the board and get a really free win, which shows the strength of the Izzet Delver deck. On the boarding plan, we saw a creature type of deck, we saw some blue elements. So I'm thinking about boarding in the Unholy Heat in the sideboard, and I think Pyroblast could be really handy. So the question is what cards we cut here. I think on the draw we can easily cut for Daisies, for 3 Pyroblast and Unholy Heat and just run it in that configuration. We just see some glitch of the Price of Brokers here. It can happen. And our opponent is on start. So we have a hand with no lands. So we will send it back and looking for a better hand. Here we have one lander in form of Dragon Witch, Chandler and Cutter, but no counter, but I think it's fine. We have a lightning bolt. We have a Cutter for our mid game. Our opponent is leading here with the energy generation creature. And here we have the decision to counter it in form of lightning bolt or apply our Dragon Witch Chandler. I think bolting so-called the bird is better. So even if we miss on our second land, we can just apply Dragon Witch Chandler. I'm going here to counter the Brainstorm because our opponent is also a tempo deck, and if he's playing Brainstorm on his main phase, it shows some really weakness. So it's telling that he's seeking for lands. So we found a wasteland with an island underneath it, so we can just play our wasteland and lock our opponent out of the game really easy. So the brainstorm was a really big tell or a sign of weakness. Our opponent finds his second land but no one drop, so we can use that timing to apply our cutter. And our opponent is playing his second brainstorm in desperation mode, maybe looking for days or force of will, but it will resolve. And our opponent could be easily brainstorm locked at this stage of the game. He finds Guide of Souls, which is okay. It's a good following up. We have our Dragon Rage Chandler with the Ponder, so we have a good survey trigger and also the token trigger. So we just make sure that we are closing the game as fast as possible because we spend really much of our resources to cut our opponent from the game with the force of will of the brainstorm. So we have a really huge card disadvantage. So even or if our opponent finds his second land, he will really easy outplay us because he has more card value. So our only advantage is the timing. Our opponent is playing here Mockingbird, so I'm thinking it's okay, you can make an argument for countering it, but we want to spend our brainstorm in our own clock. But it's arguable to force it here. And we have the heat, which we know about, so that we can heat the second one. So one will remain on the battlefield. And we just see the trigger. So land is pretty going down in the graveyard. And we can play brainstorm, get our browse trigger, get our token, get our survey trigger, so get the engine started. And we are really looking for a blue card, which we can pitch the force of will. So I'm thinking about keeping the Delver here, but on the end I decided to bin it because it's just a blue card and we really want to find more action in form of Brainstorm, Ponder, Preordain. And here I'm getting rid of the force so that we can play our third land and apply another Dragon Witch Chandler so that we have at least 6 damage in the air. So putting our opponent here at maybe one turn clock or 1/2 turn if he finds some removal in form of Swords of Plowshares or getting some life with the Guide of Swords. And our opponent has a second Mockingbird. He's copying his Guide of Swords, so life gain is activated, so to speak. And he's following up with a third Mockingbird, so triple Guide of Swords. So our opponent has here a really good wall of defense in form of life gain and even getting his creatures pumped up. So our opponent has to attack here to make his creature bigger, so that he can block on the following turn our Dragon Rage Chandler, which have to attack. So we can get at least now 6 damage once in the air. We have an Unholy Heat with Delirium activated, so that we can get rid of one creature. So we can decide to get rid of one creature which will block this turn or next turn. I think it's better to get rid of the possible blocker, but you can also make here an argument for just putting as much damage through as you can. And here I'm just getting rid of the potential blocker. I play the Unholy Heat here in our turn, so that we can get use of the Browse Trigger, which are 2 more damage, which could be really important. So our opponent is down to 3 life. If he plays some creature, he can get maybe to 5 or 7. I re-equip the cutter here in our turn to get use of our mana. So if we brick on the following card draw, and our opponent finds an Ajani, which will generate 4 life. So 1 for the creature, 1 for the token. So he can really stabilize here, but keep in mind we have 7 damage in the air, so there's nothing our opponent can really do here, I think. So he's attacking, he can apply some counters on the attacking creature, but it doesn't matter because the creature which attack cannot block. So we even find a Brainstorm. So I think it's really free win here, but there's nothing, maybe a Solitude, what our opponent can have here. So I'm just playing the Brainstorm out, getting rid of the Delver, and make sure that we don't lose from a spot to a Solitude or another card. So there's a Murktide and Bauble. So I'm stacking the land on top to get rid with the Delirium trigger. Play the Bauble, get additional Browse trigger, and our opponent has enough and concedes the game.